Hello there, very good evening. You're tuned on to Primetime News on TV1, bringing you the news. I'm Joel Outskun. Let's start off with a look at the headlines for this evening.
SLFP gives deadline for the Prime Minister to step down. President in crucial talks with Sri Lanka Freedom Party. TNA and SLMC decisions on no confidence motion to be decided tonight. Rohita Gunawardena says Mahinda Rajapaksa has no desire to be Prime Minister following no confidence motion win.
Well, the clock is ticking for the country's Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe. Will the Prime Minister win or lose the no-confidence motion? The people are waiting anxiously if the Premier what the result will be, which was brought on by the joint opposition against the Prime Minister. The motion of no confidence will be taken up for debate in Parliament tomorrow at 9:30 a.m. and will go on until 9:30 p.m. Shortly afterwards, the voting on the motion of no confidence motion will take place. Now, several meetings have been taking place over the past couple of days. Now, yesterday and today as well, meetings have been taking place with the UNP, the SLFP, the JVP, so on and so forth. Now, today, as we speak, another crucial meeting between the President and SLFP members is taking place at the President's official residence. The results or the outcome of the meeting is yet to be known. Now, having said that, keeping that in mind, all of these parties that I mentioned before, the Sri Lanka Freedom Party, the United National Party, JVP, and Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna have made their stance on the motion quite clear. That is, of course, to support for the no-confidence motion to oust the Prime Minister. Now, earlier yesterday and today, senior members of the Sri Lanka Freedom Party did in fact say they've met with the Prime Minister and they requested the Prime Minister to step down as Prime Minister before the motion of no confidence is taken up in Parliament. If he does not step down as Prime Minister, the SLFP will in fact vote for the motion of no confidence. But they did say this couple of hours until the motion of no confidence motion is taken against the Prime Minister is essentially a grace period for the Prime Minister. Now, keeping that in mind, the cabinet meeting was also held today. However, it lasted just an hour. Let's see what happened.
Prior to the cabinet meeting this morning, Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe called on President Maithripala Sirisena at the President's official residence for a meeting. The contents of this meeting were not made available. Thereafter, Cabinet convened under the auspices of the President, and at its conclusion, Minister Nimal Siripala de Silva has conveyed the SLFP stance to the Prime Minister.
Minister Nimal Siripala de Silva conveyed a message to the Prime Minister, which is for him to resign, and it was a decision taken by the party. Thereafter, we had a meeting. We will have a meeting with the President tonight as well. We maintain our stance that this needs to change and the Prime Minister must resign. We have given the Prime Minister several hours, and after that deadline, we will take our final decision. We will reach a decision at 8 tonight with regard to the motion of no confidence. We have informed the President of our stance. That is not so. We have taken a decision. If so, the UNP MPs and ministers are speaking on certain other matters. We have reached a decision and all 41 of us abide by the decision.
Following the conclusion of the cabinet meeting, the Prime Minister left the Presidential Secretariat, and a majority of UNP ministers who also left did not comment to the media. Journalists who were opposite the Presidential Secretariat attempted to get a comment from SLFA General Secretary Dumiti Disanayake and UPFA General Secretary Mahinda Amaravira, but their attempts were futile.
There were simple discussions, but there was no final decision. There are people who are on both sides. The usual matters in cabinet were concluded expeditiously. There was nothing special. All cabinet papers were looked at and discussions took place. There was no issue. The United National Party and other groups have decided to vote against the no confidence motion against the Prime Minister. We will defeat that motion. It was never announced. All SLP members will not show support.
Now, those are, of course, the views of some of the SLP ministers and ministers of the UNP. The SLP reiterating their stance that they will vote for the no confidence motion, while the UNP says they will do whatever it takes to defeat the no confidence motion and keep the Prime Minister in power. Now, while all these discussions are being held and the meetings are being held throughout the day, yesterday towards the night, and even today, it begs a question. If such is the stance of these parties, having expressed their stance that they will vote for the no confidence motion, why is it taking so long for the public representatives? Food for thought. Now, speaking of discussions, members representing the joint opposition called on former President Mahinda Rajapaksa at his residence in Vijayarama, Colombo this evening for a meeting. Now, keep in mind, the no confidence motion brought in by the joint opposition was not signed by Mahinda Rajapaksa. There is a question if Mahinda Rajapaksa, the former president, will attend tomorrow's debate. Now, several members speaking to our reporters following this meeting said the speakers at tomorrow's debate and allocation of time for those speakers was extensively discussed. MP Vidura Vikramanayake said former President Mahinda Rajapaksa will be present in Parliament, confirming our speculation during the parliamentary debate and when the votes take place. Now, UPFA MP Rohit Abhigunawardena meanwhile said the former president does not have any desire to take up the post of Prime Minister.
The JVP says we are sending Wickramasinghe packing because we want to make former President Mahinda Rajapaksa the new Prime Minister. We have no such desire. Mahinda Rajapaksa has no keen interest in taking up the post of Prime Minister.
Now, while some of these parties have made it clear what their stance is, some of the other minority parties, in fact, even the main opposition, is yet to make their stance clear. One of those parties is the Tamil National Alliance. They are yet to announce a decision on what decision they will take at tomorrow's motion of no confidence. TNA parliamentary group leader and leader of the opposition R. Sambandhan met with President Maithripala Sirisena today.
Sambandhan was accompanied by ITAC leader MP Mave Senadiraja to the meeting with the President at the Presidential Secretariat.
The President was willing to meet us. We spoke about tomorrow's no confidence motion. We have not taken a decision as yet. Our group is still in talks and a decision will be taken by this evening. A decision could also be taken tomorrow after holding talks with the President.
එතකොට ඔබතුමාලා අද දිනේ තීරණයක් ගන්නවයි කියලා කිව්වට මීට කලින් ඇයි අද දිනේ තාමත් බැරි වුනේ?
Our MPs were involved with work related to the local government these days. A few of them have now returned and we will hold talks in the evening when the rest return.
Meanwhile, a group of TNA parliamentarians held a discussion at the parliamentary complex today. TNA MP M.S. Sumandiran was a notable absentee for the meeting. MP Sumandiran took part for an event held in Kandy this morning.
I am heading back to Colombo now. Once I reach, our parliamentary group will meet and that is where we will make a decision. We will never agree to the bond scam. We are working against it. These matters will also be discussed today for a decision to be taken. Yes, the accused should be punished through court. No, I cannot tell you anything until we discuss it and take a decision.
After meeting with the President early in the day, a group of TNA parliamentarians held a discussion at the parliamentary complex. MP M.A. Sumandiran, who was absent for the meeting in the morning, was seen attending this meeting. This discussion too ended with no decision. Meanwhile, certain MPs of the TNA have already expressed their stance on the no confidence motion.
Regardless of who committed the offence, if it is proved, that person has to step down from his position. It can be the President or Prime Minister. That is good governance. At our meeting, I will propose that it would be suitable not to attend this debate. I believe all 15 members of Parliament of the TNA will reach a decision on this.
Now, one MP of the TNA, Charles Nirmalanathan, as you saw just a couple of seconds ago, has hinted of what the stance of the TNA is. But apart from that, the rest of the TNA still more or less seems to be on the fence on where they will remain at the no confidence motion. Let's just talk about the composition of Parliament for a second here. There are 225 MPs in Parliament. Of course, one seat is allocated for the Speaker. Now, there's a question, if the Speaker is allowed to use a vote in this motion of no confidence. However, to clear things out, the Speaker's vote will only be required if there is a tie between the rest of the MPs, and the Speaker will have to make the decisive vote. Now, keeping that in mind, let's talk about the composition of the TNA, because we constantly reiterate that they are more or less, being the opposition, the main opposition in Parliament, they're remaining on, they're more or less on the fence. So let's take a look at who these, there are 16 MPs of the TNA in Parliament, led by R. Sambandhan, and then M.A. Sumandiran, Charles Nirmalanathan, E. Sarvanabhavan, Mave Senadiraja, S. Sivamohan, S. Sridharan, G. Srinesan, Shanti Sri Skandarasa, K. Thureratnasingham, S. Yoheswaran, Selvam Adekalanathan, K. Kodiswaran, Dharmalingam Siddharthan, S. Vijayalendran, Sivasakti Anandan. So keep in mind, now the ITAC has 11 MPs, which is comprised of the TNA. The ITAC has 11 MPs. The Tamil Eelam Liberation Organization, or TELO, has 2 MPs. The People's Liberation Organization of Tamil Eelam, or PLOT, has 2 parliamentarians. And finally, the EPRLF has 1 MP. Now, Sivasakti Anandan is a leader of the EPRLF. This is where the things take a slight bit of a turn of events. Sivasakti Anandan met the Prime Minister separately, saying their party needs to discuss separately on what their party's stance is. So at the moment, although the TNA consists of 16 parliamentary seats in the chambers, even the TNA has confirmed this, that right at the moment they've said there are only 15. Also, let's take a look at the other minority parties. We have the All Ceylon Makkal Congress led by Minister Rishad Bathiuddin, and then the Sri Lanka Muslim Congress led by Minister Rauf Hakim, the Tamil Progressive Alliance with 6 MPs led by Minister Mano Ganesan. Now, the All Ceylon Makkal Congress, or the ACMC, has 5 seats, the SLMC has 7 seats, while the TPA, or the Tamil Progressive Alliance, has 6 seats. Now, all of these parties are yet to make their stance clear on who will they support. We do not know by tomorrow evening if they make their stance clear when the vote is taking place. Now, there are also, let's talk about the JVP, one of the key players in this motion of no confidence. There are speculation that the JVP is also on the fence. But however, over the past couple of, not too long ago, its leader, MP Anurukumara Dissanayake, has vehemently opposed the Prime Minister and his actions. So in the meantime, so let's take a look at what the statements he has made over the past couple of weeks and months.
The evidence can prove if Ranil Wickremesinghe is involved in the bond scam. Who is the mastermind behind this bond transaction? Ranil Wickremesinghe. There's nothing to hide. Before Ranil Wickremesinghe sat on the Prime Minister's chair, the UNP was unable to pay the electricity bill for its headquarters, Sirikota. Come the general election in August, do you remember how many TV advertisements were published by the party which was unable to pay the electricity bill? So did they receive Aladdin's wonderful lamp when Ranil Wickremesinghe sat on the Prime Minister's chair? What happened here? They used the money stolen from the central bank. The person who was in Singapore was brought to the country and placed on the main chair of the central bank. From March 2015 to March 2016, Arjun Aloysius' company had shown a profit of 5.3 billion. When you put 1,000 rupee notes in a bundle, it looks as big as a brick. So 20 of these brick-sized bundles would add up to 10 million. So 5.3 billion rupees contain 10,600 of these bricks. That's about 2 kilns full of bricks. Soon after taking over the country, they broke into and stole from the central bank, the authority responsible for the money supply of the entire country. If they take over the villages too, then they may even steal from the cooperative banks.
Now, there have been multiple speculation and accusations at JVP leader Anurukumara Dissanayake that he has dealings with Minister Malik Samaravikrama and somewhat of an ally of the Prime Minister. Now, this is the opportunity for JVP to play down those rumors and speculation and show the country that they do not have deals with anyone but the people of this country, and they can show that this is the right thing to do for justice and to do what's right in life. Now, this government has been in power for just over 3 years now. Now, following the presidential election on the 8th of January 2015, Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe was appointed as Prime Minister whilst having a minority hold and with the assistance of the Sri Lanka Freedom Party. Now, even at the parliamentary election that followed, Ranil Wickremesinghe did not secure a majority in parliament. So keeping that in mind, let's now take a look at what has happened and what he has been accused and accused of during his stay in power as Prime Minister.
Moving the Central Bank of Sri Lanka, which was under the Finance Ministry, to the Ministry of National Policies and Economic Affairs, of which he is the subject minister, providing close associates with key ministries. When the President introduced the 19th Amendment to the Constitution with the clean intention of curtailing powers of the executive presidency, Wickremesinghe secretly included several clauses that would benefit him. Key examples would be expanding powers of the Prime Minister and restricting opportunities to remove the Prime Minister, inviting Singaporean citizen Arjuna Mahendran to take up the post of Governor of the Central Bank even when the President and several cabinet ministers opposed to it, committing the Central Bank Treasury bond scam weeks after establishing government and taking both the government and the United National Party into a worse situation, appointing associates to ICTA, casting aside the President's recommendations and attempting to put the nation's financial system at risk with the introduction of the National Payment Platform, providing facilities to a vehicle assembly plant in Kuliapitia while promoting that automotive manufacturer Volkswagen would be setting up a factory at the location, launching investment projects including a tyre factory with people who have been accused of questionable engagements during the Rajapaksa era, irregularities that marred the Central Expressway, handing over the contract for construction to a firm that was penalized by the Japan Fair Trade Commission, moving the country's energy sector into crisis, claiming an LNG plant will be constructed and thereafter dismantling the process. Lethargic process in implementing the law with regard to fraud, corruption and malpractices said to have taken place during the Mahinda Rajapaksa era. Delay in arresting former Ambassador Udayanga Weeratunga. The arrest only took place when the subject minister was changed. Failure to bring those responsible for the Lasantha Wickrematunga homicide before the law. Steering investigations on avant-garde in different directions and weakening the charges. These are just a few incidents. The people of this country will never forget what was said and what was done.
A rather controversial and turbulent 3 years for the Prime Minister and his government. Now, while this motion of no confidence is to be taken up in Parliament today marks day 4 of the protest march from Kandy to Colombo undertaken in support of the motion of no confidence against Prime Minister. Now, the march began today from Nitambua.
The march has been organized by the organization to protect the UNP together with the United National Freedom Front. The march is being held under the theme, the power struggle to defeat dictatorial cronyism.
අපි කියන්නේ අගමැතිට ගෙදර යන්න කියලා අගමැතිට කියන්නේ ලැජ්ජාවක් කියලා දෙයක් තියෙනවා නම් ඔය පුටුව අතහැරලා අද රාටම යන්න කියලයි.
අවුරුදු 25ක් මෙයා මොනවද කරේ? අඩුම ගානේ යගේ පාක්ෂිකයන්ටත් දෙයක් කරාද? අපි කියනවා තවත් මේ රට විනාශයට පත් කරන්නේ නැතුව රනිල් වික්‍රමසිංහ අගමැතිට ගෙදර යන්න කියලා.
The march, which commenced Nitambua, reached Kiribatgoda after passing through Kadawata. There is no need for the Prime Minister to play games and offer money. There is no need to distribute stolen money. All he has to do is resign from the post of Prime Minister. We just got word Malik Samaravikrama had proposed to appoint Sajith Premadasa as the Prime Minister. If Sajith Premadasa is to be appointed as the Prime Minister, the Prime Minister must first and foremost resign. After that, the President will make an appointment. The President will decide who can steer a majority and make the appointment. However, the Prime Minister who looted the central bank must step down. After that, the people of this country will be released from a serious burden. Thereafter, the President will be given the opportunity to bring about good governance. Malik Samaravikrama must not play games. You too are involved in this theft. Ask your friends to step down. The President will thereafter decide who needs to be the Prime Minister.
Now, the People's Power online poll regarding the no confidence motion is right now active on Newsfirst official page. And we ask the question, should Ranil Wickremesinghe step down as Prime Minister before the motion of no confidence or not? And this is what the general public had to say. 64% of Sri Lankans said Ranil Wickremesinghe should step down, while the remaining 36% said he should not. Just another reminder, the debate on the motion of no confidence against the Prime Minister will be taken up in Parliament tomorrow. The debate will begin at 9:30 a.m. tomorrow morning and will go on until 9:30 p.m. Soon after which, at 9:30 p.m. again, the vote on the motion will be taken up. Now, Newsfirst has taken measures to set up a coverage from 7 a.m. this morning to give you all the latest updates on what happens and to give you a full scope of the motion of no confidence. Keeping that in mind, while the country and its politicians are in a power struggle, arguing and battling at each other's throats on who will hold power, the Disaster Management Centre issued a statement today. Quite horrific scenes and quite ashamed, should say, that over 400,000 Sri Lankans are suffering from a drought from the Putlam, Kurunagala, Kandy, Anuradhapura, Polonnaruwa, Mana, Mullaitivu, Vaunia and Ratnapura. All of us Sri Lankans elected and appointed these public representatives for the benefit of the people, to ensure that they deliver what they promise to the people. Such news and statements issued by a government agency itself that over 400,000 Sri Lankans are suffering, while on the other side of the country, 225 MPs are struggling for power and to appoint whoever they want into power. This is a matter of serious concern as a media organization which thinks of the pulse of the people. Well, that is all we have from the newsroom. I'm Shahan Rampati. Let's cross over back to the newsroom. Before that, let's go in for a short commercial break.
Welcome back. You're tuned on to Primetime News. Well, now, employees attached to the Katunaika, Ratmalana and Mattala airports have decided to temporarily call off their strike action. They launched a strike this morning, citing several demands, including a pay rise. The airport employees decided to step away from their duties as they did not receive a response from the subject minister for their request to raise the salary by 10,000 rupees. These employees claimed discussions with the airport authorities to solve the matter this morning failed. More than 1,000 employees serving in 21 different sections of the airport joined this strike action. The employees had requested the administration to provide a solution by 11 this morning. However, as there was no response, the striking employees obstructed several roads leading to passenger terminals. Police was deployed to ensure security within the airports, and the riot police as well as police special task force personnel were deployed in the outer premises. Well, now the Ministry of Finance and Mass Media states that the new board of directors for Sri Lankan Airlines was appointed to proceed with entering into a public-private partnership with a strategic investor.
The ministry in a statement said the restructuring of the airline and the PPP process will continue to be guided by the officials committee chaired by the Secretary to the Treasury. It adds the committee will continue to refer required areas for direction by the ministerial committee chaired by the Prime Minister and for implementation by the board of Sri Lankan Airlines. In addition, aviation consultants Nairas of UK will continue to report to the official committee, adding the working agreement is to ensure Treasury interests are adequately addressed in the restructuring process. The statement says the final restructuring plan prepared by Nairas with the assistance of the National Agency for PPP will be submitted for cabinet approval upon being endorsed by the new board of directors. According to the Nairas plan, Sri Lankan Airlines Group can become viable in the short to medium term through the restructuring strategy. The ministry says the plan is similar to the strategy adopted by Swissair and Aer Lingus, both advised by Nairas, which resulted in those loss-making airlines turning into profitable companies.
Moving on to more news this evening. Now, members of the European Parliament's Committee on International Trade, including the Standing Rapporteur for South Asia, will visit Sri Lanka from the 4th to the 6th of April. Now, the visit is undertaken to evaluate the first results of Sri Lanka's accession to the GSP Plus scheme and to enhance their dialogue with Sri Lanka on the remaining challenges. The mission will comprise John Sardil, the European Conservatives and Reformists, Sajad Karim, Standing Rapporteur, European Conservatives and Reformists, and several others. Well, before wrapping up the news, here's a reminder for you to stay tuned with the perspective on inland revenue and foreign exchange and banking regulations on next, which is BIS First in Focus. With that being said, we would also like to remind you that we'll have a report throughout the day tomorrow on the debate of the no confidence motion, which is against the Prime Minister, which will start at 7 a.m. in the morning. So keep it locked with Newsfirst, and also for the latest information on our website, visit www.newsfirst.lk. I'm Joel Outscombe. Thank you for stopping by. Take care. Good night.